I'll start with the hardest one. I lost my mother's urn, which was probably the hardest loss for me personally. I mean, between that and the cat, it's probably the hardest ones. For those of you who don't know, my mother passed away when I was 16. Thank goodness. Luckily, you didn't burn. Yeah. Oh, Dylan Burns. Okay, can we? I was about to say something, but let me just get this out of the way, okay? Dylan Burns. Ha ha ha. Okay. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Okay, I already saw, because there was a news report, and that was the thing I was gonna say about OPSEC, is the news people just fill my porch, and they have like the address like front frame as firemen are like walking past it, like every single number, and it's like, well that's OPSEC gone forever. That's long gone. So for me, like, OPSEC is OPSEC. I won't like actively be like, here is my address on YouTube, obviously, but yeah, no, OPSEC gone. Wait, your house caught fire? Yes, it did. Okay. So should we start? Let's start with the news report. I think that's the best place to start. We'll start with the news report, and then I'll say what happened, and then I'll show the pictures, and then we'll get into the news. Because to be honest with you, I don't want to dwell on this too much. I kind of just want to go through what happened, say what happened, be like, if you guys want to support the channel right now, that'd obviously be very helpful, because when I say I don't have anything, I mean, it's a total loss, and we'll get into that in a bit. But I had what was in my pockets, which was, I think,
Thunder Lefty 420
it was a lighter and I
$30.
think half of a vape.
Hope this helps, bud. Do what you can to keep up the good coverage. Smiley face.
As in not even the entirety of what was necessary to make it work. I didn't even have shoes on. My neighbors brought out shoes. How much does half a vape go for? I don't know, $5.
Soy Knight has donated $5. It ain't
about that much,
but here's a little bit to add to the recovery
I can get the other half of that vape now.
Hope you're holding up well and that insurance will pay out.
Yeah, no, that's also a big thing to say, that insurance eventually will pay out, hopefully a majority. And look, it's insurance makes their money by, when stuff like this happens, paying out as little as possible. So I don't know if I have a bunch of confidence. I have confidence that I won't be left with nothing. I just don't have confidence that I'll be regaining everything that I had. But that's the main thing to say. But the big problem immediately is they don't pay out that money a while. They give you some money, but it's also money for the household. Which there was other people in the household.
Hope this helps.
And so it's not enough for me to like get my camera gear and all my paperwork back and all my, because my camera's like alone and all my camera gear is like $7,000-8,000 or something, right? If I think about all the microphones, all the camera lenses, or maybe probably even more, I'm just probably undershooting it, because I didn't even think about the GoPros, some of which I didn't even buy, but were like, one of them was Kraut's, you know, Kraut, the like the YouTuber, that one's gone.
Tukawa has donated $100. Zero.
So if we're getting like, say, 5 to 10 to 20,000, I'm not going to say exactly what amount. Personally, we'll just say $5,000 to $10,000, right? If we get that, I'm not going to take all that money and be like, here's all my camera gear, okay? Let's everybody put your clothes second. Dylan's camera gear is first.
Edelweiss 103 has donated $50.
In the next month,
you the best of luck.
My main concentration is going to thank you. My main concentration is going to be focusing on getting the money for camera gear and getting set to go back to Ukraine, because I want to go to Ukraine in a month. I still want to go back. I mean, now that I don't got a house, like, what's stopping me? I got nothing waiting for me here.
Bro. I appreciate
nothing to
what
lose.
You do.
Nothing to lose. So I want to go back as soon as possible. I want to get back to the front and film, because the war didn't end in 24 hours. That was a crock of shit. We all know it was a crock of shit. We got to live with that reality now, that it was just a campaign slogan. And now 24 hours became 100 days. And then 100 days will possibly become 150 days, and who knows. So I need to get back there, and I need to film, and I need to document what's going on. So my concentration is going to be on getting the funds necessary to have the gear necessary, and trying to get all my paperwork, because I lost all my documents. So, and in the amount of chaos that the government's going through right now, oh my God, the amount of chaos that the Capitol's going through right now, trying to get a passport through that system, definitely if I need it expedited, which might be necessary. Holy crap.
Occurred is occurred.
Sorry for your losses. Dylan folded hands, medium light skin tone.
Medium light skin tone? Wow. Very progressive. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Medium light skin tone. Okay. So let's just say what happened. Let's start with the news report. So I don't know if any of you guys live in the DC area, or are from Maryland. If you are, hi neighbor. Anyway, DC News Now were the first people to cover what happened, so we're just gonna use their report, and they're the one that actually had cameras on the ground. There's like other reports, but it's all like text. They're the only ones that bothered filming. So,
Occurred is occurred.
Quick, this is CIA, Elon and Tulsi are after the NAFO funding money. Please hold this for a little bit.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, so we'll just start with the news report, which, by the way,
Occurred
again,
is occurred.
DC News Now. Oh,
Mead Maker got a tier 1 subscription. Here you go, buddy. I've been homeless a couple of times and know the pain of that. I've recently got a job and things are looking up, so be my first real sub.
thank you. Okay, so let's start with the DC News Now report, and then I'll talk about what they didn't get, or they might have got it wrong, and etc. We'll just start here as a starting point for what happened.
In Prince George's County, investigators say a lithium e-scooter battery sparked a house fire that injured 3 firefighters. It happened in College Park just after 1 this afternoon. DC News Now's Tim Reed spoke to the family who escaped the flames but lost their home.
4 family members were able to escape this burning home, and they tell us they are thankful that they survived, but they're also sad to lose their house they've lived in for 40 years. Tuesday afternoon, firefighters responded to this house on in College Park. The home was fully engulfed in flames on arrival around 1 o'clock. We spoke to family members who say it happened so quickly.
And I heard a big pop, and I turned around and went through the hallway, and there was flames in the bedroom. So I ran to the back of the house to get the fire extinguisher that we had.
Fire crews were able to get the blaze under control quickly. Investigators say lithium batteries sparked the fire that injured 3 firefighters. The batteries were charging inside the house and are used to power the family's electric scooter. Good news is the injured firefighters are okay.
Our firefighters do a tremendous job, and it is a dangerous job, and sometimes injuries happen. We never want to see them, but they are a reality to what our firefighters do. But, thankfully the injuries we received today were all minor.
As for the family, they lost everything, but are thankful they all survived.
All of everything I've ever owned was in there, and it's all gone. So it's pretty awful, but, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to still have my family.
The family says they will stay with relatives for now and are hoping to rebuild a new home in the future. In College Park, Maryland, Tim Reed, DC News Now.
Okay, that was that. So there's a few things they got wrong, and that's weird to say, but just I think things that were implied. For example, there was this one shot of like the family, and one had my family member Patrick next to another person. That person's not my family member. That's a neighbor. I think they just saw them standing there and assumed they were part of my family and put them in a shot. Also, when they say it's like the family's e-bike, it's not the family's e-bike as it was my e-bike, where like made it sound like the family. It was like, what's the family's transportation? Oh, it's the e-bike. No, it's I'll say the story and I'll just go through it, and I'll describe what happened. So my brother decided to come over and visit, and he loves bikes. He loves these things. He works on them all the time. He loves them absolutely.
Morally corrupt,
and it's something a lot of young people are into now. I mean, I'm saying young people as if I'm not young, but I see a lot of people, including those younger than me, who are really into like electric bikes and like tweaking on them and seeing how fast you can get them, or like making them look cool or whatever, right? I see him zooming around, and he's one of them. He loves the little e-bikes. He's my little brother, and he likes to use them because if he's staying in our area, that he could use it to get to a bunch of places in the general Maryland area, the general DC area, that he couldn't if he was at his normal house. So he'll come over and he'll visit, and then use the e-bike to go around. And so he was visiting, And he decided to take 2 of these e-bike batteries and charge them in the house. Now, I didn't know they were in the house. I also didn't know that they were in my room. But that's what he did. Other people apparently in the house knew they were there, but I didn't. They're in my room. I actually, before everything went down, I think I was taking a nap in that room. Because I was letting him stay in the room, but when he would wake up, sometimes I'd take a nap because it's my room. And I think an hour before everything went down, I woke up from a nap. And I went upstairs in my 2-story house to work on my script. And we're working on my script upstairs. It was my script for my next video on my main channel on Kherson, and on Russian war crimes in Kherson, the human safari there, where they strap up FPVs with RPGs and throw them at civilians. When I was working on that, I hear a pop, and it was the type of pop where I thought maybe a cabinet had fallen over, because it was something that like kind of shook the house a tiny bit. So I assumed like a cabinet fell over. It was the type of pop, crash, explosion. It was this weird mix of sounds that was like so many at the same time. It's kind of hard to make out which it is, and it turns out to kind of be all of them at the same time. And my first thought is that a cabinet fell over. Or that possibly maybe a tree. But then after about 5 to 6 seconds of like, what was that? I heard a second. And to me, it was very clear that second one was an explosion, because I thought the first one was maybe a tree or a cabinet crashing, but the second one sounded much more clearer to me. And after, spending 3 years in Ukraine, like an explosion. And so at that point, after noticing one followed by another, I noticed that there was a pattern of explosions happening. And so knowing that an explosion had just gone off in the house, probably followed by another one, I thought, well, I need to get out. And my instincts just clicked in after 3 years, of filming in Ukraine, and explosion's here. I need to get out. And I know I didn't think I'm being bombed, as in I'm being shelled or something, or like somebody threw like a Molotov or something in the house or something. Or not a Molotov, it wouldn't make that type of a sound. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't make that type of a sound. But like a bomb. But I guess like my body just treated it kind of like that. I just kind of did what I would do in that situation, and I didn't really know what it was. At first, I thought maybe it was the boiler after, the second explosion, but whatever it was, I was running down the stairs, well aware of the fact I was like, God, I'm running from this here too. And then I kind of dash out the front door with my brother, who was upstairs at the same time as well. And then 2 other family members exit the home, as well as a dog and a cat. Now, as I was going downstairs, I started to see the smoke. And when I was upstairs, I saw a little poof of smoke, but I didn't know if that was from like leaves being kicked off from something falling over. It was happening too fast for me to really like evaluate exactly like what was what. But by the time I got downstairs and I could see the smoke and I could hear like fire, I knew that there was a fire and that there was an explosion, that something was on fire. I didn't know what had exploded.
Sigmayor of Katerina has donated $10. As a fellow resident of the nation's greatest state and
Maryland.
a huge admirer of your work and dedication, I hope you stay safe and take care of yourself, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I didn't know what had exploded, but I thought something exploded, something was on fire, something else could explode. Let's get out of the house. And so that was my first priority, was to just get out of the house with my family members in tow, and that is what I did. And in that time, one of my family members tried to fight the fire with a fire extinguisher, and it dropped it and ran out. And by the time I knew everybody was out, I went for the fire extinguisher again, because I thought like, okay, maybe, they just got tired. They're taller than me. Maybe it was, there's too much smoke inhalation. I thought maybe if I got down, it could do something. But by the time I got back in there with the fire extinguisher, like 2 minutes had passed, and smoke had filled up just about every room in the house. And my room was completely engulfed in flames. There was no way for me to physically enter the room. It was getting to the point where the flames were like kicking out of the window, and I was listening to glass shatter. And knowing that, hearing glass shattering and then hearing it shatter in multiple rooms, not knowing if it was mirrors, but just knowing that that was the situation. I didn't have much faith in the fire extinguisher, but this is also a house where, before going to Ukraine, I lived in an apartment. And then when I went to Ukraine, I lived in an apartment in Ukraine. But when I came back, I was only going to be back in the United States for like 3 months. It was like, I shouldn't get in a normal apartment. I shouldn't go rent an apartment for a whole year when I'm not going to be here a whole year. And so what I decided to do was to move into a house that had been vacated by my grandparents who had raised me there, as they had moved to Delaware, and had been moved into by other family members of mine who still lived in the area, and was used for like other stuff for the family. It was like a family house that we had lived in since the 80s, like for over 40 years. And so I was like, okay, I'll just live in the family house for a few months. I'm in the States, go over to Ukraine. I'll pay for that rate for 8 months. And then for the rest of the year, I mean, when I'm all done, I'll, move back out into my own apartment, because I'll be back in America proper, and I'll have a reason to, pay for an apartment for the full year. And so when I'm grabbing this fire extinguisher, in my head, it's like, I'm fighting for the house that I kind of like grew up in. It's a family house where I've only known like this house for the vast majority of my life. And that everything I ever owned is in the house. Because all my camera gear, all my, let me read to you. Actually, I wrote some of the stuff, and we're going to get into it, but it was a total, some of the stuff that was in the house, I'll do that in a bit. Let me just finish doing the story, and then we'll get into that, because I can do that with the pictures to show that.
A curd is a curd.
But I grabbed the fire extinguisher.
$300. Stay safe, man.
Hey, man. Zitch, thank you so much for the 300. That's very nice of you. I'm sorry if I don't give a proper respect for each donation, because people have donated crazy amounts of money already. And I never know how to properly react to it. I just want to say thank you for that. And if I keep going, it's just because I want to get through the story as fast as possible, because it's not a fun story. Anyway, as I have the fire extinguisher, I try to put out the fire, and the fire extinguisher throws nothing. It didn't say it was expired, but it throws nothing. It did nothing. It was just not working. And so I was inhaling smoke, trying to get this fire extinguisher that was not working to throw anything at the fire. As my house that I grew up in, goes up in flames, and I'm the only one left in the house at that point. And eventually I'm like, screw this. I have basic survival instinct to know that I can't do this now.
911 has donated
the whole
$25.
house is in flames.
Hope all the donos help, man.
Thank you. If there's an economy, so thank you for all the gifted. If there's 3 rooms taken over by flames, I'm not going to be able to fight it with a broken fire extinguisher or getting cups of water. I cut my losses and I got out of the house. I didn't put on any shoes. I was in my pajama bottoms. And that they don't show it in the they don't show it in the interview, but I have my my sweater on that says God is my shotgun. They cut it out for some reason. I don't know why, but I was using it as pajamas. I usually wouldn't go to probably a local TV news interview wearing that. But it was what I was wearing when the flames went up. It was that in my pajama bottoms and didn't have shoes. I ran out of the house. And at that point, as I'm out of the house and I know all my family members are out, I realized that not all of the family members are really out, because I hear my uncle and my and his fiance scream about a bunny rabbit called Theodore, and I realize that the bunny's still in there on the ground floor, and I run to the side window and I try to grab the bunny, because I know where the cage is, and so I'm trying to grab it through the window so I don't have to enter the house. I can just grab him through the cage. And as I put my hand through and I grab the bunny, and I have the bunny in my hands, as the flames is literally engulfing the entirety of the back of the house, the bunny is being encircled by flames, the bunny jumps right out of reach as I get a little bit distracted, jumps out of my hand. I then get burned, and I still have a little bit. It's kind of whatever. It doesn't matter. I get burned a little bit. It doesn't matter. But I realized at this point, I can't grab the bunny. He jumped away. I can't reach him anymore, and so the bunny was gone. I also didn't really process it at the time. I thought at the time that like maybe the first floor or like a large portion of the first floor would be lost, which was a question of how much of the house would be lost. But by the time the firefighters got there, the entire house was getting engulfed in flames. And so then I realized later, only by the mention from another family member, that my cat that I've had since I was 7 years old, named Rascal, is also upstairs in my den area, like my office area and my streaming area that I use for work. And he and Theodore perished. Flames. The whole house completely was engulfed, and then the firefighters got there. When the firefighters got there, they started fighting the fire, and it took them forever, and it was like in waves. It was in waves, it felt like, because it felt like, oh, the smoke would die down and then it would kick up again. The smoke would die down and then it would kick up again. It would die down and then it would kick up again. And it went on like this for, I don't know, like 30 minutes to 45. It might have been like an hour, honestly. I'm bad for referencing time in that time period, but it certainly was not a very short fight. And they had to get some firefighters from outside the county, I believe, and 3 firefighters were injured in the fight from smoke inhalation. So apparently, you know, my house has hands when it's on fire, and it was very, very deadly hands. Awful. So they eventually were able to get it under control after a long period of time. And after getting it under control, they were, I guess that was it. You know, they were able to get the situation under control. And at first, they said I wasn't going to even be able to go in on the same day. I wasn't even going to be able to see the house.
Is a curd.
Because they thought it was so messed
Melody
up.
X Rain has donated $25. It's not much, but I hope this helps you rebuild.
Thank you. They said that it was so messed up that I probably wasn't even going to be able to go in and take a look at the house because it'd be too dangerous for us to just even be like in the home, which I didn't like that idea. And thankfully later they said, no, that wasn't the case. And we would be able to go through the home, would be able to see, what was left, because that was basically what we were trying to figure out. We knew it was bad. We didn't know how bad it was. Let me put up a picture of Rascal, my cat.
A curd is a curd.
Sorry, it's a new. Wouldn't you know it? This is a new computer and a new setup. Do you guys want to guess why it's a new computer and it's a new setup? There he is. Look at him. Look at that little. I got him when I was 7. 7 years old. I got him. He was 15 going on 50. He was 15 going on 16.
Lido Vexer has donated $150. Jesus Christ, are you immortal or something?
I'm not immortal. I just seem to have a. It seems the Reaper is. We've become acquaintances through proximity and association more than I'm comfortable with.
This is awful to hear. You are one of my favorite perspectives on my feed to hear from. I have been wondering where you have been. I hope things start looking up. We need you right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So they went through and they said it was a total loss. And I didn't really know what that meant until I went in there, and yeah, it was a total loss. Out here, maybe it looks kind of salvageable because you can see the black on the side. You can see like what's damaged, but like, it's still mostly white. But once you get inside there, or once you go into the backyard, you can kind of get a better perspective of just how much was just absolutely burnt and destroyed. And when you go inside, this is what most of the rooms look like, with decent lighting. The pictures that I posted on social media the day of, just to let people know that I wouldn't be available because, hey, oopsie doopsie. Like you can see my stairs that go up into my office space back here because it's been burnt through so much. And I mean, this was my bedroom right here. You want to know how I know it's my bedroom? You can see still all of my destroyed, saved collection of Foreign Affairs magazine. You can see it on the floor there. You see it? For anybody who reads Foreign Affairs, you can see the outline of the text. For all you Foreign Affairs maniacs out there. Oh, there's some of you. Yeah, but no, this is like a total loss. Total loss. That big pile of mush over there was once my bed. It was a bed once. My goodness. I should have cleaned my room before showing you guys, my guests, my room like this. My God, my grandmother would kill me. And this used to be my streaming area. At least the back extension. This was like my den area that was connected to my streaming area. This is where I relaxed, and I had a really cool recliner up here. Yeah, no, it's just like it's just a complete loss. I lost everything. There's like a few rings here and there that I was able to salvage. I was able to salvage a rug, the Ukraine rug, the rug from Afghanistan, that depiction of the Ukraine rug from Kabul. The other rug. I was able to build my shotguns, but I don't know if either of them work. I mean, the double barrel definitely doesn't work.
Is an immoral, morally corrupt, bankrupt man.
The 20 gauge, I have no clue. But basically everything I owned is gone.
A curd is a curd.
Thank you for the 50.
Ben TV Nerd 21 has donated $50.
Let me read.
I just heard. Keep up the good
I'll just read a
work.
bit of the fire loss list, okay, to give you some perspective. A little bit, and I just kind of did this because I had nothing else to do, because I lost all my documentation. When you lose all your documentation, it's hard to get anything done.
OG Smirnoff has donated $30.
Like,
Sorry
go to the bank,
about Rascal,
get a new card, you need documentation.
Your house.
Yeah.
Hope this
Lost
helps
the Rascal,
a bit.
really hurts. Like, when you lose all your documentation, you go to the bank, they need documentation. You go anywhere, you need documentation. You need a new phone. That took forever because our card was too charged for them to scan it. The one card we had that could get us into the account. I was able to get a temp card for my bank, thankfully, after visiting like 3 or 4 banks because they didn't have any temp cards.
Really sorry to hear about the fire, Dylan.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Let me read the fire loss list. I don't know. Let's maybe we go from back to front.
Burns is an immoral.
Now, well, you know, I'll just start at the front. I'll start with the hardest one. I lost my mother's urn, which was probably the hardest loss for me personally. I mean, between that and the cat, it's probably the hardest ones. For those of you who don't know, my mother passed away when I was 16 after a long battle with addiction. One of the
a curd is a curd.
tattoos I have on my chest.
Hope this helps.
And that urn, you know, it held her ashes, and it was something that I hadn't really wanted to give up, and I wanted to just kind of keep her around the house, to just have her around, you know, as many people do. And there was always the family discussion of like, what are we gonna do with the urn? Are we gonna ever like spread it around this lake or that lake or whatever, or a place that she liked? And I was definitely the one that was most hesitant about doing that because, you know, I just wanted my mom around. She never was around a lot of the time, and so I wanted her around. And so losing her once to heroin and again to a fire was pretty awful. We found some pieces of the urn. We had to dig through the back ash of the back room for a few hours with a pitchfork, because I did it a bit for my hands, but I could tell the difference, honestly, between the ash. I mean, I don't know if I really did, but it felt like I could tell the difference between the ash that was the building and the ash that was her, in the corner that I knew that where the urn was. And so I was just trying to search for it. I was getting it everywhere. It was horrible, and I didn't like it a lot. But we had to do it because we had to find what we could.
If I lost my mom's urn, I don't know what I do. I lost my mom in 2018 on Mother's Day. And I have her name tattooed on my face.
And I didn't want any
Speed brother.
And I wasn't gonna let my grandparents do it. I wasn't gonna let my grandfather or my grandmother go through that. My grandmother's already. I'm not gonna talk about this again, but she was the one who raised me, but she just got diagnosed with lung cancer, so I'm not having her go through the house, digging through the ashes, trying to find her daughter. So that was my job. So that's what I did for a few hours. And we weren't able to. The urn was shattered, destroyed. There there was no trace of. So I just grabbed the pieces and we collected the pieces and we gathered those up, put those away. We took the bunny, who was completely charred, just there, like it was buried in the backyard. My cat Rascal, he was upstairs. He was not burnt. He was laying down. He was asleep. He was at the feet of my chair. He was waiting for me. And, yeah, we buried him in the backyard too. And, those were probably the hardest, losses. I've also lost my mother's jewelry box. I lost a ton of family heirlooms. I believe a watch that my father gave me, which was like the only heirloom my father gave me. That was actually of importance from my Kelleher side of the family. I lost my entire patch collection, all the patches I collected over the years in Ukraine. I lost also that, you know, all the little knickknacks. I lost the watch my fixer Bogdan gave me from the that one Russian commander. I lost basically every heirloom. I think we lost the genealogical records of the family going back to the year 900 as well, because I had actually, and I feel like such a cunt, because I had asked a family member to bring out those records because my great grandfather, God rest his soul, he spent a good portion of his life
has donated $50.
Trying to prove that the Burns family, Dylan Burns, can actually trace its roots back to Robert Burns, the Scottish poet. Now, a lot of people claim this, and my grandmother never believed it. A lot of other people in the family didn't believe it, but some did. And it was like a little tiny family debate. And so I wanted to go through the records that he swore could like bring us and trace us back to this area. I wanted to go through it myself because I wanted to, you know, both learn about the family and see if it had any legitimacy to it, because he spent basically like a good half of his life collecting those records. Gone.
We care about you.
Gone.
Do well.
All gone. And so there's a bunch of stuff like that. Like all my mother's paintings. My mother loved to paint. They're all gone. The same with my godmother. She loved to paint too. I love my godmother very much. And then all the financial stuff. But like this stuff, like it matters in a way, but in the grand scheme of things, like it doesn't matter as much to me here as like all the other stuff I lost. Like I can't get my mom back. I lost this giant flat screen that I remember I saved up for a bunch. It was like $1,000, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but when I got it, it was a lot. And it was gigantic, and I loved it because I could watch my boxing and my wrestling on it. Lost that. Lost 2 computer monitors, $3,000 to $4,000 computer rig, a $2,000 to $2,500 laptop.
Trex 1983 has donated $100.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing, Dylan. From the ashes, the phoenix rises.
My favorite armchair, my entire book collection, and I had some originals, so that fucking blows. I had an original of I think it was a first edition of C.H. Carr's work on the inter-year period and lead up to the Second World War. I lost my bed, of course, my bedroom TV, the entire collection of Foreign Affairs that I've collected over the years as a longtime subscriber, all my like Maryland memorabilia, which is a weird thing to say, but you know, Maryland jerseys, Maryland whatever. All my cash, because I did have some cash on hand, you know. I'm not a prepper, but never tricked a gummy too much. And you know, some Christmas gifts and cards, all that of course lost. I already talked about the VDV watch gift from Bogdan. I lost some specimens of drone shrapnel that I brought back that I was going to use to like show the type of shrapnel that the Russians were putting in bombs that they throw at civilians in Kherson, because I'd gotten some like darts that they had put in there that I thought was interesting. I wanted to show people
Redmond
ball bearings.
Berry _1975 has donated $100. 0.
Thank you. 0. Appreciate the 100 though, for real. My cigar box and all my cigar gear, my entire pipe collection, and god damn it. It's so many pipes.
Is a curd.
I can't even imagine how I'd feel if this happened to me. Hope it comes back to you tenfold.
Thank
Best
you.
regards.
Well, that sounds like a threat. You wanted to come back to me tenfold. You want the hotel to burn down too? No, come on. I've suffered enough. So much weed. I'm just gonna be honest. So much weed. And, you know, possibly magic paper. Gift bongs. A Ukraine drone training flag that was signed. Oh, that sucked. Basically all my clothing, my favorite bronze lamp, all my tax documents, my cell phone, my wallet, ID, not credit card, debit card, passport, my Sony a6400, my Oni 7 II, A7 II. Those are expensive cameras. At least to me, they're expensive. Both with lenses. 2 sets of lav mics, some shotgun mics, 2 camera bags, both personal favorites for sentimental value. Tons of camera batteries. Tons.
Immoral,
camera batteries.
Corrupt, bankrupt man. 2
GoPros. One of them was 2-sided, and that was a gift from Kraut. Thank you, Kraut. I won't be returning that. Sorry. Tons of wires and adapters.
Ultimate_Doge_Dad has donated $200 in memory of what you lost.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Doge Dad. 200 from Doge. Thank you, thank you. I don't know if that's a NAFO thing, if that's just the meme thing, or if that's the Elon fan. See how Doge has been smeared as of recent due to recent events. 2 Camlink adapters, and those things are kind of expensive. They're like 150 each. Well,
Good Guy Creeper has donated $500. Sorry for having to go through this. You have been doing a great thing in Ukraine. Hope this can help, even though I know personal memories that can't be replaced are worth infinitely more.
You know, $500. Of course that can help. Yeah, it's not going to bring back personal memories, but
immoral,
you know,
morally corrupt, bankrupt.
We do a lot with $500. Thank you very much. Sorry if I'm not thanking everybody that's coming in. I'm just trying to get through the list. Sorry. But yeah, $500 is a lot. Europe to USA adapters. These are like adapters that you get the idea. I have to adapt stuff because of different ports, so I have to get different adapters for every single set of stuff I have. Some decent webcams, camera battery plugs, my mother's jewelry box, paintings from family, all my watches and jewelry, and I had some nice watches because I like watches. Tons of pictures and documents. And when I say tons of nice watches, I had like 3 nice watches, which is enough. Okay, if you have 3 nice watches, you're not going to need any more than that. Realistically, do you need more than 3? But still, you know, it's still expensive. My 1 good suit. You also need 1 good suit. Everyone needs a suit. You know, all my basic stuff you would have in a bathroom, razors, whatever, and just like heirlooms, more computer stuff, 2 computer mics, more bunch of ammunition. Some gifts Loanerbox actually gave me. Tons of receipts, family genealogical records, old yearbooks, signed pictures from wrestlers. MJF actually was. And some art. There's more, but I don't want to. I'm done reading that. So, you know, when I said I lost everything, basically true. I have some stuff that's still in Ukraine, so I think maybe I have a jacket there. And my body armor and my helmet is still in Ukraine. So I still have that. Though I was made a commitment from work that they were going to get me better gear because they were like, Dylan, you need safer gear. So we have semi-safe gear in Ukraine. But I'm trying to keep this all in perspective, right? Oh, wait, let me go through some pictures for you guys to get some ideas. Well, I already went through these, right? Okay, so I don't need to go through them again. Sorry, I'm losing track of time.
Downside, house was set ablaze. Upside, house was blazed.
Very true. I'm trying to keep this all in perspective because, you know, a lot of people have lost their homes like this. There's a lot of people going through this right now in Los Angeles, and I've seen a lot of people go through this over in Ukraine. And, you know, there's not really much I feel like I could have done differently in the situation to have prevented the situation because of stuff that was out of my knowledge and so all I can think about is what I would do next time when it comes to maybe trying to grab essential items immediately at the start of a fire. But I was more like focused on getting people out. But I really can't really think about shoulda, coulda, woulda. And so I'm just trying to keep in perspective that, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. All of the stuff was gonna be gone eventually anyway. That's stupid, isn't it? That's stupid cope. Because my cope is like, well, eventually the patches would have been gone. Yeah, when I was dead, when I was 85, and they're like, why do we need these anymore? But you just try to keep it in perspective. That's all you can really do. You just try to keep it in perspective that you're not the only person who's ever gone through this. Other people have gone through this before. People have had to start again. I'm quite young. I'm 23. Starting again, it's not like I had 90. I was 95 years old and I just lost every worldly possession I've ever built up throughout my whole life. Burnt. I lost everything at the age of 23. Okay, it can be much worse. It could have happened 7 or 8 or 9. Any year following this year would have ultimately been worse in losing stuff because I would have lost more, right? And thankfully, all of my footage from Ukraine was backed up in a separate location outside of the United States. Because again, I don't trust my government, but you get the idea. I back it up in another location. We're good on that, so I haven't lost any footage. I've just lost anything I've ever filmed with. So we still have plans to release all the footage that we've collected. I guess I had more safety precautions for my footage than me and myself. But it is backed up. So, like we've released the Sumi video, the next video we're going to be working on releasing is going to be what I was working on when I fled the home, which was a report on war crimes in Kherson, specifically the human safari that the Russians engaged in. But yeah, got to keep it in perspective.
Burns is an immoral, morally corrupt.
I know Anna has gone through losing her home due to shelling. I know a bunch of people have lost their home in LA. People lose their homes and they move on. Burns and they grow and they just have to start over. So that's all you really can do. No? That's all you can do. Outside of that, my plan is to get
morally corrupt,
as much of my gear ready as possible to head back to Ukraine, hopefully next month, because I still have a cameraman over there that's going to be waiting on me. I have editors that I know want to work on new footage, and there's still so much more that needs to be documented, so much more work that needs to be done, so we need to get back to work. And so that is why it technically hasn't even been a week yet.
Burns is an immoral,
so we're getting back to work.
Corrupt, bankrupt man.
Dylan Burns. Ha ha ha. Okay. Ha ha ha. Ha ha.